Hi, this is Stephanie Miller from The Stephanie Miller Show. Please enjoy this exclusive clip from my show on Political Voices Network.
Hello, everybody from the New York Bureau. Happy Bob Dylan's 83rd birthday,
That's
everybody.
Right.
I know
Yay.
you're celebrating over there.
Yay! Absolutely.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't we?
Because
What a
there's a
show in
choice we're making.
Albuquerque. I'm sorry to be late to the party, but
That's
what
all
a
right.
show.
That's all right. We've been doing this 13 years, you and Hal and I. We started in Madison 13 years ago. Back when you would sometimes do Obama bashing jokes, and then Hal and I would go, la, la, la,
La 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 la.
I call out your lies.
Mine-
One Obama bashing joke I ever did. Continue, please.
Minus,
he's caved so many times, he's
yeah,
got miners trapped inside him.
Oh, yeah, that's a good joke.
Ah.
I'm sorry. That's a good joke. I stand by that joke. Yes.
Hal and I actually put our fingers in each other's ears.
Yeah,
La, la,
right.
la, la, la.
He's caved so many times there are miners trapped inside.
That's right. That was the
That's
joke. That was, yeah.
Solid joke. I stand by it. I stand by it.
By the way, I heard not the same joke, but the same sentiment from Chip Roy about Mike Johnson, every rhino, and anyone who isn't Donald Trump over the last 3 weeks or whatever. So it's nice to see that transference of concern has moved to the
yes.
Republican quarters.
I just want to say it was a great show at Albuquerque.
Yes.
Stephanie Miller rocked a rock club. Chris Lavoie has really let himself go. It's really sad to see. But other
We
than
knew
that,
we knew
what a-
that
what a
crowd
night.
was going to be lit because we're standing backstage, all of us, and I hear this, and I'm like, "What? Did the show start without us? What?" And someone's like, "Chris just walked on stage."
Yeah, that was
and
all
put
it took.
Frangela's clock and walked back.
Yeah, he was just literally doing some work.
Right.
And they were like, my God, he's a specimen.
All right, Chris will be with us in Seattle next
Seattle.
Saturday. John, you tweeted media missing the real story of Nikki Haley coming out against Nikki Haley supporters.
Yes.
We just talked
Finally.
about that. I think those are Joe Biden voters
Yep,
mostly.
They are now.
What do you think?
They weren't. Those were not. Well, maybe they are now. Yeah, Hal's right, but they weren't all open primary states. I mean, she got 1/3 of the vote of Republicans in Indianapolis in the Indiana primary. 1/3. 2 months after she left, her zombie campaign got 33% of the Indianapolis Republican vote. They're not all Democrats out there to troll. These are real Republicans who are actual Republicans, that endangered species. And I don't know how she's going to get them back. I mean, the media is totally shocked that Nikki Haley just did exactly what we all said she would do. For the second time, she went from being never Trumper to pro-Trumper. This woman, this is all she is, people. Don't act surprised. This is who Nikki is.
Yeah. Well, she tweeted we should end the war in Ukraine, but it doesn't mean appeasing Putin. It means sending Ukraine enough missiles, tanks, and fighter jets to send Putin packing. And Bob Seska, you retweeted, said you're voting for a tyrant who's already pledged to encourage Russian invasions of NATO nations. And yes, he will absolutely defund Ukraine, allowing Putin to annex it. You're making it one vote more likely that it'll happen. I mean, she is just completely soulless and principleless.
Yeah, what she's really saying is, we have to help Ukraine, and I pledge obedience to a man who really loves Putin's rape of Ukraine because I believe in nothing beyond my own cynical professional advancement. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, the fascinating part, we talked about Indianapolis, but I think the big standout is in Kentucky, for example. Donald Trump got 86% of the vote in Kentucky, and the rest of the vote went to Nikki Haley. There was like 3% for Ron DeSantis. And then there was a big chunk that went to uncommitted. Now, you remember the story about how big it was, like, oh, dear, Biden and uncommitted in Michigan, or uncommitted in,
Yes.
the uncommitted vote in Minnesota, for example, which was smaller than the uncommitted vote in the Republican primary for Donald Trump. And I've heard zero news stories about uncommitted's impact on Donald Trump's vote in the fall, when he's losing 15% minimum everywhere.
John, you said it about the media. You tweeted, media shocked as Nikki Haley does exactly what everyone said she would do. I mean,
Right.
it's
By the way, have you received today's news? Justice Alito has been discovered to sleep with a life-size Donald Trump inflatable love doll. Just found it out. He says his wife put it there in his bed. He has no idea when she did it, and it doesn't even look like Trump. But this just came out today. It doesn't mean anything.
Can I just say, John, I thought of you. The media did its job at least once this week when some reporter asked Mike Johnson, you're, this very, very Christian man, this deeply Haley, blah, blah, blah. How can you justify standing, outside, this porn star hush money payoff adulterer trial? And he just said, I'm not going to comment on that. That and Nikki Haley sums up the cowardice of the Republican Party this week,
That's
right?
all of it.
I have no comment on that.
Listen, it's a pleasure every day looking at the courthouse to see what today's unified Reich looks like. Because there's a different unified Reich every day at the Lower Manhattan Courthouse, and they're all doing Donald Trump cosplay, led by Trump's dirty little Johnson.
Someone
the Tolkien character who's a hobbit on the outside and an orc on the inside. He believes in nothing.
Right.
You tweeted Oklahoma State Senator Dusty Devers says a couple in his church adopted embryos and those twins were 7 years old when they were born because they've been cryogenically frozen. And you said
yes,
they're telling you they're bat crazy with zero interest in what the Bible actually says. Carry on with electing them, I guess. I mean,
yes. Think about this, but also, you know what else they're saying? When he's saying these newborns are really 7 because they were sitting around as frozen embryos. This is just a hop, skip, and a jump to someday Dusty Devers saying, I know she looks 13, officer, but she's actually 20. That's all that's about.
Yep. Well,
by the way, speaking of Putin, you win joke of the week. Russian TV has a new propaganda star, Tucker Carlson. He actually does have a show.
Yeah.
And you said Das Bootlicker. That's funny. That's funny.
Very much.
That's a funny name for that show. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm starting a new escort service for Donald Trump called I Hear You're Free on Wednesdays. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So let's talk about our favorite subject, the Middle East. Yay! Republicans against Trump tweeted the crowd at the pro-Palestine rally in Brooklyn cheers for the death of President Biden. Biden's the oldest president in our entire history. He's going to die soon. And you, Hal, you just tweeted, "We love death more than you love life." Hamas motto.
That's an actual quote from the leadership. We love death more than you love life, and that's why they win. That's how they gain ground. That's how they took over Gaza. That's how Hamas took over Gaza. It's like, and that's never. People forget that after the election of Hamas, they purged anyone that they ran against and started killing Palestinians that were against them in Gaza. And the idea that polling, a lot of the right wing will use the polling inside Gaza to say, the average Palestinian supports what they did on October 7th. Well, I'm sorry, but there's no such thing as a legit poll when you have a gun to your head.
Yeah.
And
I was saying, John, yesterday, don't we have enough room in our heart to say, our heart breaks for these, they just released footage of the female hostages, clearly bloodied and raped. Oh, someone told me I'm doing Israeli propaganda yesterday because I said they've been raped. I'm like,
I know. Listen,
Hamas released.
They
the one that took the video.
Right, yeah. They brag about it.
They brag about it. I
Right.
mean, but I said, isn't there enough room in our heart to feel empathy for that and for innocent Palestinian women and children being killed? And feel empathy for Rashida Tlaib's grandmother and, how people feel on I just feel like there's nothing you can say that doesn't inflame people on this subject.
Exactly. And that's how it's going to be. And they're using this to divide us, and it's going to work to some degree. At the end of the day, I am on the side of any Palestinian and any Israeli trying to solve this decades old conflict non-violently. People want to say, which side are you on? Which side are you on? Well, if you're raised Christian, you are called to love the people of Palestine as much as you are called to love the people of Israel. It's got to be equal. Now, these people all have awful leadership. In Palestine, Hal is right. But the last time they actually had an election was 18 years ago, which means no one under the age of 40, most likely, has ever voted for Hamas in Palestine. Netanyahu is a criminal gangster thug in Israel. The people of Israel deserve to live in peace and security with a neighbor that respects their right to exist. The people of Palestine deserve to live in their own free nation with control of their own borders. And it's not that complicated. I'm on the side of a nonviolent solution because there is no violent solution to this.
Neither Netanyahu or Hamas are for a two-state solution. They're both...
I know. And you know what? So these are the options. You either have a two-state solution, which is probably impossible because of the West Bank geography. You keep on doing what we've been doing for decades and just keep on going like this. One side completely wipes out the other side in pure ethnic cleansing, or the fourth option, a one-state solution a democratic state where the people of Palestine have full rights of citizenship in Israel.
Yep.
Those are the only four options that are possible here.
And
violence will not solve it.
Hell, we always say, like, on the other side, it's not just Muslim ban. And, not only don't let any Palestinians in, eject all the Palestinians that live in America now. It's also, someone's going to listen to Lindsey Graham to nuke Gaza. He said nuke Gaza.
Well, Trump was
Netanyahu should get it over
Trump
with.
Trump literally said you have to clear out the cancer. You have to finish. He said in dealing with this, and anybody who doesn't think he would have called Netanyahu in an attempt to get under his good graces again and kind of align himself with him so that he and Kushner could, Trump Tower what's left of Gaza. He said literally, you got to finish the problem. Yeah. You have to clear out the cancer, and you have to do it quickly. And that was the part, he brags about, getting rid of ISIS, and he's like, I got rid of it very quickly or whatever, because they said it was going to take years, and it took only months, which is BS. But the reason why they did speed up was because he removed the rules of engagement that Obama had put in to limit civilian casualties. Yeah, war is a lot faster when you don't care who you kill.
Yeah.
And Trump has admitted openly he does not care who gets killed in this. And as a matter of fact, he's beyond you can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs. He believes that, innocent Palestinians are the seasoning. This is just, you got to clear them all out. So, that's what he means.
John, predictions on hush money trial, verdict next week, and will Trump debate? He obviously didn't testify.
Trump will debate. Trump will debate, and I think it's brilliant. Can you believe we're going to have a presidential debate in the month of June? I think it's great. I think it's the smartest thing Joe Biden has done to wake us all up and shake us and say, no, morons, this is really happening. This is the choice. This guy really could become president again. People need to stop reading all these polls about polls in the New York Times and realize what's really at stake. As far as the trial, I'm not having a prediction on it. I do think he'll be guilty of some counts and not guilty of other counts. He will roll into the convention as a convicted felon, and his Christian supporters won't care.
Yay!
Yeah, here's the thing about how the charges are laid out, because it's the same crime over 12 months, and so most of these are the issuance of the check, the movement of the money, and then the re-signing off on it. That's 3 counts on the same check, 12 months. If you're found guilty of one, you're guilty of the rest. That's just how it folds. So the majority, even if he's found guilty of all of them, what'll end up in the sentencing is, because it's New York, he's a first-time offender. He will not do any jail time, but he will pay a big fine, and he might be denied the ability to, it'll be added on top of his inability to do business in New York that came from the civil trial. The issue following that is he goes into every trial going forward as a convicted felon.
Yeah.
And therefore, it might not factor into the charges against him or the indictment, but in the sentencing, that can be taken into consideration.
Yeah.
That he is a felon from another thing. This is not his first rodeo. Yeah. And so the chance of him doing time and longer time on the other charges goes up.
John, he could be a convicted felon by the time we get to Seattle Saturday.
Oh.
I just would also like to add, I knew that
next Saturday.
I knew that Diddy was a complete punk 3 names ago.
Yeah.
3 names ago. I knew he was a little bit.
Can we just call him Sean Combs, too? I don't use anybody's little magic elf nicknames for themselves.
The artist formerly known as Plug.
Yeah, exactly.
Brother Love, right? It was Brother Love, and before that was Diddy, before that was P. Diddy, before that was Puff Daddy.
Now it's Dumb Diddler. I don't know.
He was the Quarryman before that, I believe. He started out as Quarryman.
I can't wait to see you in person next Saturday, June 1st, Seattle. I love you, John Fugelsang.
We will be there. It's going to be a blast.
It's going to be so good.
SexyLiberal.com.
John Fugelsang.